Saludos, buen día amigos, ¿cómo están?
Greetings, how are you, Fer? You are muted. Fer, you were welcoming and receiving everyone, but in a moment he will be available. It's great to have you here connecting in a virtual lobby, which is a time to connect a little bit before interacting with you. We love interacting, listening to you, reading you in our social media. So Fer, hi, Ulises. Hi, here I am from the kitchen in my house. Welcome everyone who is connected right now. And this is what it's about. So Charlie from Chile is connected. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you, family, with Ulises, with Fer. So I'm very happy to say hi to everyone in Chile, Mexico, Latin America, and the world, whole world. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Charlie. This is about connecting and having fun. As you can see, I am in Mexico, in Monterrey. Ulises is in Mexico City, but it's Venezuelan. Charlie is in Chile, Chilean. So I want us to use this cultural diversity to talk about this. Let's talk about the differences in culture that unites us. I want each one of us to tell an anecdote, something funny about the cultural differences, and please interact with us about these cultural differences. It is curious. I lived 19 years in Colombia. I came to Mexico, and in Colombia, when you want to go to the bathroom, well, you say, I'm going to the bathroom. But here in Mexico, I realized that when you want to go to the bathroom, you go and say, I'm going to do one or two. And I don't want to go into details, but in Chile, you go to the bathroom. Maybe if you have a lot of confidence with the person, you say, I'm going to take time. And that's all. So, okay, it's going to take time. That's number two. In Venezuela? In Venezuela, we do not give explanation, and it's not well received. You just say, I'm going to the bathroom. You don't say what you're doing at the bathroom. You just say, I'm going to the bathroom, and that's it. Share with us, friends. You don't have to give details. Don't worry about that. But just share with us these differences. Listen, another thing that happened to me when I got here to Mexico 8 years ago with my family, and that I learned quickly, is that tacos is essential, basic in Mexican cuisine. So I went to order tacos, and I said, please give me tacos with black beans. And they said, what? What are you asking for? Yeah, tacos and caraotas, which is black beans or brown beans. Well, yes. So I used a different name for saying black beans. They have different names. In Colombia, we say frijoles, but we change the accent. Instead of frijoles, as in Mexico. In Chile, we say poroto, And I think it's the right word, because if it's with noodles, then it's like if we're beans on a leash. Yeah, but they're great. I'm seeing here some people are saying porotos with mazamorra, which is choclo or corn. Well, let me share something. I'm not gonna say names, but yes, I'm gonna say it. Clara is saying, I'm going to where the queen goes alone. Thank you, Clara. They're referring to going to the bathroom. I'm going to where the queen goes alone. Someone here in Saltillo page, Germán, says, I'm coming, I'm going to the bathroom. And he's Venezuelan, so you know. He says, I'm gonna send an email or a letter. That's regarding the bathroom. When I was in Mexico, I was going from the airport to Monterrey, and I told the taxi guy, there's a lot of taco, and he was like, what? Because here, when there's a lot of traffic, you say there's a lot of taco. And how do you refer to traffic? In Colombia, for example, there's a lot of trancón. So you are you're stuck and you say traffic, like you said. I think in Venezuela it's very different, right? Yeah, pretty different, because you say in Mexico, not there because there's a lot of tail, or because I was on a line. So it's quite different. And I know all these things might not sound well in English because they're Spanish words, but yeah, they sound kind of improper sometimes. Well, there are many differences in terms of words, concepts, and sometimes you can even be bad spoken. Well, we are 30 seconds from starting our service today, and I want to ask all of you to, whether you are on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you are watching our service, please share it with friends, with family members, on your social media. We want more people to enjoy this, and we have a very relevant message for all of them. Please share it, because we are seconds away of going into our transmission. Friends, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Vida In online transmission, a new Sunday. My name is Fer. I am very happy to say hi to you today from the kitchen of my house. It smells like coffee. I hope you are comfortable at home as well. If you are part of family, of the Vida In family, thank you for always connecting. And if this is the first time you are connected, thank you very much. It's an honor that you are with us. And for a couple of minutes, we're going to share something. We hope you enjoy this experience that we prepared with a lot of care. And as you can see, I'm not alone. With me is Ulises from Mexico City. How are you, my friend? Great. I'm very, very happy of being with you today from the living room of Jair's house in Mexico City, and also happy to experience a new way of connecting through video calls, which is the way in which we are in 3 different cities. We are completely live with you. So each one of us in front of our computers saying hi and connecting to each one of you. Yes, thank you for connecting not only from 3 cities, but from wherever you are, because there are people connecting from other places in Mexico and Latin America. And actually, you said, Ulises, we are using technology, and we are using it as much as we can, making the most of it. And it is thanks to technology that we can today present someone to you, someone who's very dear for us. His name is Carlos Vasquez. We're going to add him to the conversation. Weeks ago, Carlos, we said there's a group of people in Chile who have been connecting to our transmission of Vida In Online. They belong to a church called Vertical, and we said we want people to know a little bit of who they are, to know a face that they have, and we have Carlos here, who is their leader. Thank you for being here, and a hug to Chile, all the way to Chile. It's cold, right? It's not so cold today, but I'm more warm being with you. I'm happy to say hi to Ulises again, and to you, Fer, and to everyone in Mexico. I'm from my house. Right now, technology allows us this possibility, and thank you for the opportunity of being with you, of saying hi to everyone in Latin America. I've read people from Peru, from Argentina, so we are connected in this family with the same vision and mission. So I'm very happy, and thank you for making it possible. We thank you from the other end of the world, and we are expectant to what will happen. Thank you very much. Thank you, Charlie, for connecting. A couple of seconds, but thank you. This is important for people to say hi to you and to know who is there in Chile. Thank you. A big hug and a great greeting for everyone from Chile or anywhere else. It's great to see that we have a great mission that bounds us, and beyond borders we have a mission, and that's exciting. Friends, as Charlie said, we are sharing, or we are going to share with you part 3 of a series that we started 2 weeks ago. This series is called I'm In. I'm In. So we're very happy because we've received very positive comments from you, because you've seen value in this series. It's being very relevant, very practical. And today we're going to share part 3. And if for any reason you haven't heard the previous messages, don't worry, you can do it. You can do it through our podcast channel. You will see the information, and you can use different platforms from Spotify or through the podcast application of any device you use. And I encourage you to do it, because with these messages you will have a broader and more clear comprehension, understanding of what this series is about. So please don't stop, and please go do it. And Ulises, you have something to tell us about the podcast. Yes, subscribe to either of the channels that you already mentioned, Fer, and there's a new image, so maybe you will be surprised. There's a fresher image, so subscribe and share all this concept. Not only enjoy it, but the messages of the series, but of all the series we have uploaded throughout several months. And I want to tell you, I'm very happy because there's someone anxious, kind of anxious. Yeah, that's his personality. He's always happy and moving, and we're gonna leave you, all of you, in great hands. So relax, get comfortable. If someone there in your family is not ready, we're about to start part 3 of this series, I'm In. Enjoy the next video. Friends, how are you? I'm extremely happy. I know I was anxious to be here, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity of sharing from Mexico City, and especially I'm very happy and thankful with everyone of you for connecting to Vida In on at home. Thank you for being part of this, regardless of you being in Monterrey, Saltillo, Mexico City, or even in Santiago de Chile, or anywhere of our region or the world. It's a privilege for me to have the opportunity of sharing. It was great to see Carlos from in the transmission. It inspires us to know leaders with whom we can share a vision, this passion God has given us, that the church is not to be bored, but to be enjoyed. And that is our objective, that you can enjoy this. We love to be virtually together today. And I want to tell you that we've had very good response from these transmissions live. And I want to thank you, and I want to ask you to say hi to us. I feel like a control tower because you cannot see it, but I have some devices here, and I'm connected to the Saltillo website where we have my dear Ale, Irma. I can also see here Patty connected, Letty Martinez. It's great that you are connected. We love to know that you are here, listen to you or read you, and know that right now we are together. Over here we have the Monterrey website where you see Susana, Ricardo, Priscila, Berenice, who is the mother of our dear priest here in Mexico City, my brother Lauro, and so many people connected. So, of course, I have to read from my device, Mexico City. We have a lot of friends connected. Juli, Danny is connected, Danny Bernal, great, Rosy, Marcia. It's great to see you over here. And I love that you are here with us. Connected. It's great. Thank you for connecting, and we all love to hear you and to see you here because it inspires us. And now, let me tell you that we are in a series where we are talking about the identity you have when you decide to follow Jesus. Being part of the family of God has implications. And in this series, we are addressing what it means to be in, to be part of. Weeks ago, Roberto talked to us about something very important that had to do with the fact that you and I are invited to God's family. Last week, Alejandro Mendoza mentioned how invaluable we are to God. So we are invited, we are invaluable. And today I want to talk to you about a topic that is passionate for me, and it has everything to do with influence. With influence. Now, first I want to ask you something, because something happens to me very often. I don't know how many of you it happens. But the thing is, you are at night, in bed, before going to sleep. Maybe you want to read something, or you want to watch a series on Netflix, and you listen to the voice of someone in your spouse's phone, and you don't recognize the person, and you ask, who is this person? What are you listening to that's so important right now? And the answer is, you don't know her. And you say, like, what? Okay, who is she? I'm trying to read or trying to watch, and you're watching something else. And the answer is, you don't know who she is. She's an influencer. It happens to me very often, and I see or listen to some videos my wife is watching or listening to, and she said, you don't know him or you don't know her. They are influencers. Actually, this week, while I was preparing for this, I was thinking about an amazing person who is part of our faith community, our faith family in Monterrey. Maybe you know her. Her name is Andrea, and Andrea Flores. I met her last year, because she came to our Mexico City campus. And Andrea has a magnificent inspirational story. She has a YouTube channel, but I want to show you something great about her YouTube channel, because she has videos, and not one, several videos with over 1 million views. And I'm thinking, that's influence. That's not little thing. Imagine 1 million views. That's a lot. And I don't know how many of you consider in yourselves influencers. Probably after seeing Andrea and her million view videos, you would say, no, I'm not an influencer. But listen, My purpose today is precisely correct the concept you have of yourself, because you are a person of influence. And you will listen to me repeat the following phrase, which I want to share with you because it's the thought I want to leave you with. You have no idea of the impact one conversation, one word of courage, one expression of generosity can have in the life of a person. You have no idea. Today, the definition of influence has to do with someone with the capacity of impacting the purchase power or decisions of someone else. And it's interesting because as much as I search for the definition of an influencer specifically, has to do with people who make alliances with companies because of their authority, their knowledge, or their public image. And to me, it's a little bit strange, honestly. I don't know if it's because of my age, because I don't feel so old, but I grew up thinking that someone with influence was like a professor, a coach, a good friend, people who invested in the lives of others. But in a way, in our culture, this term has been hijacked, and we believe influence is limited to celebrities or brand contents or brand creators or people with a lot of followers in social media. I want to tell you something. To me, friends, this is a tragedy because, again, you have no idea on how God can use a word of courage, a word of faith to impact the life of someone. And I want to tell you something. If you are not a Jesus follower, or if you have a lot of doubts in regards to faith, I want to thank you for connecting, because although what I'm going to share today is is more or less directed to people who are Jesus followers, I truly expect that you can find value in this, because even though what I'm going to share is definitely optional to you, I believe it's something you can take, you can embrace, and definitely own it. Now, if you are a Jesus follower, I'm sure you have heard this phrase, and with this I want to start. This famous phrase from Jesus Christ, who in an occasion was sitting with his closest friends and his disciples, and he said, "You are the salt of the earth, you are the light of the world." It's a very famous phrase from Jesus, and I'm sure you haven't sat down to think why that analogy, because it's a very famous phrase. I'm sure you've heard it, but why that analogy of the salt of the world? And I want to share something with you. It's something personal. If you know me, you will immediately identify it, but I love barbecues. I don't know how many it's for how many of you it's the same case. My friends from Monterrey, I know you will say it's the best. I want to ask you, who likes barbecues? And tell me, what's your favorite cut and how many times a week you light the coal? How many times a week you light the barbecue? Tell me over here in the chat, because here in Mexico City, when I arrived, and I got here 10 years ago, one of the things I missed from Monterrey were the barbecues. But we light the barbecue like 4 or 5 times a week. We have people here in the team in Mexico City. My friend Charlie Oviedo, Pedro, Danny Guzman. We are passionate about barbecues, and we light the coal like 4 or 5 times a week. And the most influential component in the meat is salt. And there are different types of salts. We have a collection of salt nowadays, a sea salt with spices, with chili, with chipotle chili. And I ask you, what does salt do? What does it do? It doesn't only add flavor. Salt purifies, salt preserves, and it's amazing that this analogy Jesus did or made 2,000 years ago, it's so relevant. And I can tell you through this transmission, hey, if you are part of the Vida in family, if you are part of the vertical family in Chile, you are the salt of the world. And truly, friends, I'm telling you something. It's not that I think that what influencers do is little. I would like to be one, honestly. The thing is, when you see an influencer, you can believe the influence starts with a platform, because obviously, the larger your platform is, the larger your influence will be. But I've learned something. Listen, True influence does not begin with a platform, it begins with people. True influence, the influence that lasts, not necessarily starts with platforms, but with people. It always starts with people. And the good news for you and I is that all of us have people around us in our relational circle, in our influence circle with whom we are in contact, sometimes every day, maybe with Zoom, not like we did before, in person. We are virtually connected, but we continue to have contact and we have an influence circle. And I want to tell you, you can have influence. For example, thinking about this, I remembered and thought on asking you a question. More than anything else, I would like to ask you a question. If I got here and asked you, who do you think influenced the launch of Mexico City, Vida in Mexico City last year? We launched last year as a church in October last year. Who do you think influenced this launch or this plant? And if you know something about us, maybe you would say Jair and Karen influenced it because they started with a group of families in their apartment a couple of years ago, and definitely it happened. But it would be a very incomplete truth, because behind Jair and Karen there were a series of people who had a large influence for Vida in Mexico City to be a reality and to be established. One of the people I have to mention is my brother Lauro. If you're from Monterrey, I'm sure you know him. He is our family ministry pastor, and not only in Monterrey, but at a multi-campus level. My brother Lauro was someone with whom I had long conversations with. We talked about God. We took a Bible verse, a text, and we could be talking for hours about the love of God, of what God had done in our family. And the conversations always ended up in, do you imagine serving God together? Do you imagine us serving God together? And eventually around 2012, 2013, I started seeing Lauro investing his life to start Vida in Monterrey. Probably you know the story. A group of families, including my brother Lauro and his wife Monica, they started to invest their lives. Why? Because they invested their time, and time is your life. And they invested time, and he continues to do so all his time to Vida in Monterrey. And from all the way back then, God used his influence to shake me. Laura introduced Roberto to me. He is our lead pastor at an organizational level, and Roberto is someone who definitely had influence so that Vida in Mexico City would come to be. There were many conversations, and I want to simply share with you a conversation that we had over the phone where Roberto told me with complete certainty, Jair, you are a leader. And I tell you something, it wasn't the first time I heard that. My parents told me probably, but that day I remembered exactly where I was standing when Roberto told me, you are a leader. And it's not coincidence that you feel comfortable with a microphone, because God wants you to deliver his message. And I was left like, wow, no one had said that to me. It's not a coincidence. No one had told me that with such certainty. So if you ask me who influenced for Mexico City Vida In to exist, definitely was Lauro and Roberto. But even that would be incomplete, because 16 years ago, an American missionary who most of you know, a crazy gringo, crazy for Jesus, John Veriken, a guy with a great vision, got with God and said, okay, I'm going to start launching and planting a church in this city in Saltillo, but if I'm going to do it, I want it to be different. I want it to be relevant. I want it to be fun. I want it to be without religiousness, that people who are not church people feel comfortable. And 13 years later, when I heard of that vision of a great leader, it captured completely my imagination. A great leader with a great vision. Juan Veriken definitely was a great influence for the launch of Mexico City last year. So there are many people who became part of the puzzle, and all of them influenced, so that today we have a growing community in one of the largest cities in the world. Isn't it amazing? You have no idea. And the reason I tell you this is that you have no idea the impact one moment, one conversation, one word of encouragement, one expression of faith can have in the life of someone else. And when talking about influence, there's something very important I want to share with you, because the influence is not always obvious. Influence is not always evident. And beyond that, evidence is not always instantaneous. The fact that there's not an immediate ROI or a great harvest, it doesn't mean your seed didn't stick, because God could have used you to plant a small seed that will grow and become a real positive and lasting influence in the life of someone. Actually, I want to show you a story. One of my favorite stories in the New Testament, actually, it's the story. It's one of my favorite stories. It's one where we find a woman who I am sure, without a doubt, was considered the least influential person in all the community, or even in the whole nation where she lived. And the context of this story is that Jesus was on a journey, and there he decided to go through a city called Samaria. And it's incredible because back then, Jesus, as a good Jew or a religious Jew, wouldn't go through Samaria. They had no interactions with Samaritans. Samaritans and Jewish people hated their guts. Literally, Jewish considers Samaritans as an inferior race, as inferior as humans. They consider themselves, they consider them to be less than dogs, and a Jewish and that's why they hated them. And I love Jesus because Jesus startles everyone. And again, if you've read about Jesus, you know he constantly shook and startled everyone, not only the Jewish people, but his closest followers. And again, Jesus startled everyone, not because he decided to go through Samaria, but he stopped and rested there. He sat next to a well, a water well. It was noon, and he found himself next to a woman, a Samaritan woman, and Jesus amazingly asked the woman for water. Probably you know this story, but I want you to know this. The mere fact of initiating a conversation with her just left her speechless, because in a way Jesus was dignifying her. And I want you to see what the text reads after, or what it says after Jesus talked to this woman. Let's read a part of the New Testament found in John, who is a great close friend of Jesus, in chapter 4, verse 9. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" She is shocked. She didn't expect this. It's something that never happened. No Jewish man would address a woman, and even less a Samaritan woman. In a way, Jesus was honoring this woman just by talking to her. Look at what Jesus answered. "If you knew the gift of God and who it is," he's saying this with love. "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." And friends, it's amazing because this woman is intrigued. This woman was completely intrigued with this situation, but I'm sure she's also confused. And look at what she answers in verse 11. "Sir," the woman said, "you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water?" And then Jesus answered in verse 13, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst." Friends, definitely this woman had something different, or saw something different in Jesus. It was an epic historical meeting, and eventually the woman said, there's something different in this man. He said, She said, I want of that living water you talk about. Of course, I would love to drink that. And then Jesus told her in verse 16, go call your husband. I don't have a husband, she replied. Yes, you're right when you say you have no husband. The fact is you have had five husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you have said is quite true, and probably this woman is intrigued, saying, how can this man know everything about my life? And she said, sir, I can see that you are a prophet. It is an amazing meeting, and what you need to know is in the whole planet there was no man like Jesus who dared to interact with a woman like her. Only Jesus. And even though you think Jesus is being insensitive or harsh with her because he is reminding her of her reality, the truth is Jesus is serving her need, satisfying her need. He is not condemning her by telling her this. He is dignifying her. Jesus didn't say this in a sarcastic way. You had five husbands. No, Jesus was honoring her, not judging her. Jesus decided to extend grace to her because even after knowing, because Jesus knew, even Jesus knowing her reputation, she knew that with her reputation, she was outcasted. She was outcast. She had had five marriages. Now she was on a sixth relationship. A lot of people would look over her shoulder or look her over the shoulder, and she would have been completely rejected. She would have been a woman no one would want to be near her. Wives would tell her husbands, I don't want you near that woman. Moms would tell their child, I don't want you near that woman. But Jesus knew the story behind her story. Jesus didn't stay on the surface of what was apparent. And it's something you and I should do more, because we need to look beyond appearances on the surface. Sometimes we have no idea of what is behind that. And it is evident that Jesus knew something, and it is clear that this woman, like no one, I'm sure she never woke up thinking, I would love to have six marriages in my life. Of course not. And Jesus knew this. And I don't have the details, the text doesn't mention them, but Jesus knew this woman a child that was complicated. Maybe Jesus knew that she had abusive parents who mistreated her, who gave her no identity. Probably Jesus knew that her first marriage, the guy was a jerk and abandoned her with a child, and now she had to raise her and alone. And I don't know what the story was, but the fact is this, and I want you to listen to this because it's very important. While everyone looked and not a woman who was not worthy, Jesus was watching a miracle about to happen. Jesus knew there was a miracle about to happen, and Jesus knew a small touch, a small interest, a little of grace and love had the potential of changing completely the heart of this woman. And during this conversation, which is amazing, there came a time where she realized, and the story tells us that in a way she went like, and she said, I heard that there would be a Messiah, a Jewish guy that's making miracles and raising the dead and feeding people and healing the blind. And here's this man, a Jewish guy, who's talking to me, showing me honor and respect, dignifying me, and knows everything about my life. And the woman said, could this be the Messiah? Could this be? And I want you to see what the text says in verse 28. It says, then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to the town and said to the people, come, see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? And you know what happened next? After this woman left the water jar there and went running to the town, the chapter verse 30 said, they came out of the town and made their way toward him. Friends, This is extremely interesting, and there's so much depth in this text. I would just want to ask you this: what can we observe from this story? What can we see in this story? And I want to tell you two. There are many things that I want to tell you, but there are two things that I want to share with you today. The first one is this: it doesn't matter. Listen, probably this is the reason why you connected today, regardless of where you are. It doesn't matter how disorder is your life, you will never be out of reach of God. Doesn't matter how disorganized your life is, you will never be out of the reach of the love of God. And the love of God, no matter what, will reach you. And this is key and clear through this scene. And secondly, I want you to see this woman who was marginalized, outcast. We see a woman running, enthusiastic to tell everyone that maybe, just maybe, he was the Messiah, the immoral, derailed woman, the woman who no one wanted to be close to. In a moment, became in a great influencer. The Samaritan woman became from one moment to the next in a great influencer. And you don't have to have everything in order to influence someone towards God. If you are a Jesus follower, you need to know you don't have to have it all set. You don't have to have a doctorate in theology and talk and speak all wordly and wordy. When someone asks you, where does it say? I don't know where it says so, but it says so. You don't need to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together. You just need three things: know who Jesus is, experience his love and kindness, and care for people. Friends, listen, you can be that light. You can be that salt for the people who are around you in your circle. You don't need 4,000 followers to have a platform. You just need to care one person in front of you. This is so important. This is what I want you to take away. I want us to read what happened at the end of the story because it's super interesting. On verse 39, listen to what it says. Many of the Samaritans from the town believed in him because the woman's testimony. He told me everything I ever did. And when the Samaritans came to him, they urged him to stay with them. And he stayed 2 days. And because of this was time enough for many to hear his message and become believers. I want you to ask, who did God use that day? Who did he use? He didn't use an Instagram star. He didn't use a professional athlete with a Nike endorsement. He didn't use a celebrity or a great content creator. He used a Samaritan woman who we don't even know her name, a sinner woman with a dysfunctional past, a woman with a broken heart who had been transformed by Jesus. And you have influence there where you are, wherever you are. You don't have to have it all together to be influential, because as I told you at the beginning, this is the thought I want to leave you with. You have no idea what a word of encouragement, an expression of love can mean to someone who needs a small token of the love of God. If you are not a Jesus follower, I would love for you to consider this. This is our intention, actually. Everything we do is we look to inspire you to follow Jesus. But regardless of where you are standing in your path of faith, in your experience of faith, I want to tell you, do not allow the definition of culture has given us of what being influential is, rob you from the possibility of making an impact around you. You are a leader. God created you to make change, to bring change, to express generosity, and you can make a difference wherever you are. And this is important. If you are a Jesus follower, I want to tell you something. Never had we experienced a moment in history where it was easier to have influence for Jesus. Sharing God had never been so easy. You just have to click a button. You just have to share this transmission. You can do a watch party in Facebook. because you have no idea the impact this can have on someone. Tell your friends on Sunday, hey, just letting you know, I'm ready for church. What church? The churches are closed. And you can say, no, my church is in the living room of my house, and invite them to connect. Never had we had such an impact and a key impact in our story as Jesus followers, as a community where it was so easy to share what God has done in our lives. But before leaving you, let me tell you something. If you are a Jesus follower, this is very important. I want to ask you, if you are a Jesus follower, I want to ask you to represent him with dignity. Do not judge. Love. Let people know you for what you are for, not for what you're against. Because you are salt, you are light, and you have to let salt do its or play its role, and you need to let your light shine. You want to do it? Tell me in the chat. If you are with me, right there, I'm in, or I'm not. Write it on my part. I'm in. It is such a privilege. You and I have to be salt and light of the earth. It is a great honor that God calls us the light, the salt and light of the earth, that he invites us to be part of his team, to impact people. Doesn't matter where you have been, what has been your past, what you've done or stopped doing. God invites you to be part of his team. And I want to take time to tell you thank you. Thank you, because every time you connect, every time you share this transmission, every time you serve, maybe through this digital way, every time you give up your resources and finances, you are part of this vision, part of this team. And I'm super happy because in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of this difficult time, we have been able to see 32 people who have were going through tough times, and we've been able to support them financially, economically, and this makes us very happy because we are impacting the lives of people and families, and you are part of that. And we just want to tell you thank you for adding, thank you for your generosity. Your generosity makes the difference. And now we're going to sing a couple of songs. We want to celebrate God, the God we have, and we want to celebrate what you and I can be a part of. So join us through these songs, and we're going to sing to the God we have.
Mi vergüenza me sepultó. Yo buscaba un Salvador, mas tu perdón me liberó. Muerto estaba en mi interior, me escondía de ti, Señor, mas tu perdón me liberó. Tu voz me habló y a la muerte venció. Glorioso día, tu sangre me rescató. Tu voz me habló y a la muerte venció. Glorioso día, tu sangre me rescató. Ahora libre soy en tu amor. Es tu gracia la que me salvó, mas tu perdón a mí me liberó. Tu voz me habló y a la muerte venció. En mi pecado me rescataste, en tu gloria cadenas se rompen. Vivía solo y sin consuelo, ahora soy ciudadano del cielo. Tú me sanaste estando herido, Jesús, por tu amor yo respiro. Tengo un futuro, ahora veo, porque tu voz me habló. Y a la muerte venció, glorioso día, tu sangre me rescató, tu voz me habló. Y a la muerte venció, glorioso día, tu sangre me rescató.
Esto que acabamos de cantar es la razón de nuestra fe, la razón por la que creemos en Jesús.
This was your song, is the reason why we believe in Jesus, and this next song is a new song that invites us to trust in God, invites us to trust in Him, because it is only enough for us to see back, to see everything He's already done for us and in us, to be able to trust in Him and trust Him with our future. In the past, He's been good, He's been faithful, and this is why you and I can trust He is with us in the future. We can trust Him with our future.
Al recordar, no tengo duda que en lo mejor y en lo peor de mí estuviste siempre ahí. En el dolor y en la promesa, cuando mi fe pasando el fuego está, me protege tu bondad. El futuro no me preocupa más, porque en tus manos sé que mi historia está. Mi Dios no me dejará. Lo que Él empezó, Él acabará. Mi futuro seguro está. Su fidelidad jamás me fallará. Él fue bueno ayer y Él siempre lo será. Su fidelidad jamás me fallará. Siempre hay más en el futuro, en la montaña y en el valle estás. Un camino abrirás. Donde me llames yo te sigo, y si las olas me llegan a hundir, sé que tú vendrás por mí. El futuro no me preocupa más, porque en tus manos sé que mi historia está. Mi Dios no me dejará. Lo que Él empezó, Él acabará. Mi futuro seguro está. Su fidelidad jamás me fallará. Él fue bueno ayer y Él siempre lo será. Su fidelidad jamás me fallará. El futuro no me preocupa más, porque en tus manos sé que mi historia está. Mi Dios no me dejará. Lo que Él empezó, Él acabará. Mi futuro seguro está. Él fue bueno ayer, siempre lo será. Mi Dios no
muchísimas gracias por haber estado con nosotros este domingo.
Thank you very much for being with us this Sunday. We hope that you start your week in the best way possible. See you next Sunday to close out our series, I'm In. So see you.